Welcome to another live edition of Pittsburgh Sportsline in the BPTV studios. Thanks for watching, folks. We appreciate you. We got a full control room. We got Devin Shea. We got Noah. We got our new intern, Steve. They counted down so I could get this right. I'm Al Levine, the talking machine. Chip Hayner's with me. Smoking Jim Frazier made it right under the bell. He's all dressed in green today.
All high and tight this week?
Yeah, Chip got a haircut. I got one 2 weeks ago. Led the brigade. Smoking Jim, we're not allowed to see his hair or know his age. So.
You know what? Next time it'll be a mohawk.
Well, that's coming attractions about the mohawk. Can't wait to hear from Smoking
pretty
Jim
short on the
Frazier.
sides.
Well, we got a lot of sports to talk about. We're getting some nonsense out of the way early. Thanks for watching us on Comcast 7 in Bethel Park. That's only in Bethel Park. That's how Comcast does it. Verizon 32 is in Bethel Park, and we got people from Nemacolin and Cranberry, Wexford watching us. Just ran into a couple other people, saw us on Verizon, liked the show. They said they like to hear what Chip's saying about baseball, and they like Smoking Jim's clothes. I said he's a snappy dresser. And we hit a new high on Facebook. 6,507 likes. Thank you. Thanks for watching our shows and liking our page. I appreciate it. We got to thank our sponsor, Olive Oil's Pizzeria. Give us an XL pizza and a steak hoagie. Just delicious. Can't beat it. Hillcrest Shopping Center. I got the number memorized. 412-831-1900. Give them a call. They do have $5 large pizzas until 8 o'clock. Call and get your $5 large pizza. You too, Smoking Jim. Oh, no, you can't. We'll be done at 8.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll hold it for you. We'll see. I'll call down. Say you know the talking machine. Joey Favis Childhood Cancer Foundation. Donate $1. They got a 5K and walk run coming up in September. Check it out. Poor Joey didn't make it to his 9th birthday with DIPG, a dreaded form of brain cancer. All the money goes to the doctor to try to find out about DIPG. It's a dreaded disease. When a kid's diagnosed with it, they have less than a year to live. It's a sad, terrible disease, but we're supporting Joey Favis. All right, something in Bethel Park. We got the Bethel Park Historical Society. They have the Schoolhouse Arts and History Center. There's people that rent from them. They have activities there. They have a library. They got all kind of things there. You can donate as little as $1 there. Help them out. They got the trolley there on South Park Road. Just a good organization. All right, Dave Cable had some fun at my expense. Uncle Al wants you to be at BPTV to help out. Volunteer today. 412-831-3304. You could be like Noah, you could be like Steve, and you can be like Devin. And all of us here that volunteer our time.
Nobody can be like Devin. Devin is one of a kind. The mold was broken after Devin was made.
Yeah, he set up the cameras. We're without a cameraman in here, folks. Got all 3 cameras going there. I don't know which one to look at now, but no, I still got one more promo. BPCF, Bethel Park Community Foundation, has money for you and your organization in Bethel Park, from $100 to $5,000. Go online, bpcf.org, get an application, apply for some money. They have meetings every couple months. Maybe you can get some money there, and it's a great organization helping out people in Bethel Park and the good things they do. Well, that's all I got. We're going to start What's on Your Mind now. Smoking Jim's here. He's ready. I'm going to kick it off. Smoking Jim Frazier, what's on your mind?
Thanks, Al Levine, the talking machine. And if you want the green,
it's coming at
you got the C, Levine. Thanks, buddy. But, hey, a lot on my mind.
Start with one.
All right.
Thank you.
But if you want to lose your honey, bet on money. I tell you what, brother.
What?
You know, the big fight is coming up this month. And oh my goodness, the big fight is coming up this month between McGregor and Floyd.
I'm gonna watch the weather.
Yeah, yeah. And I think McGregor's going to knock out Pretty Boy / Money Mayweather, and it will be the biggest upset in sports history. You know, 4 years ago, McGregor was on welfare in Ireland, and it's a well-known fact that you do not want to meet somebody who's on welfare in Ireland in an alley or in the ring. That's a well-known fact.
Hold it, he's fought and made money since then.
Yeah, but he's still hungry. He's still tough.
Nah, he's not. He's beyond your welfare thing.
And there's nothing harder than government cheese in Ireland. So if you want to lose your honey, bet on money. I got McGregor all the way. And that's what's on my mind, the big fight.
It's a shame that the sport has devolved to a point where a fight between McGregor and Mayweather is considered the big fight.
Well, the biggest shame is this. Here, Mayweather needs to fight to pay off the IRS and the government.
Well, you talked about it last week.
And they continue.
So did Al Capone. He went to jail for it. Just let Money Mayweather go to jail.
I agree, but they keep bending over backwards, giving him all the advantages, but McGregor's still going to kick his butt. This is not a championship fight. Why are they fighting 12 rounds? That's the advantage for Floyd Mayweather. But
why are they
McGregor's
even
still
using gloves?
That'd be nice, but that's again favoring Floyd Mayweather.
From what I understand, from my sources, ticket sales are not going so well, nor are pay-per-view sales.
Oh, it's going through the roof. It's going through the roof, and I got to also say.
Well, I mean, I know that you've never let a fact ever get in the way of your opinion.
And I got to give another shout out to my main man Devin Shea. They got me my favorite.
What, he walked in and adjusted the camera, so now you need a close-up on that.
Notice the misdirection that Jim used right there.
Sales are down.
Sales are
Oh,
down.
hi, Devin.
Just like
All right,
else
enough
right
of this. What's on your mind? Chip Hainer, what's on your mind?
Well, 57 is what's on my mind. Today is August the 1st, 2017. And why did I bring up the number 57?
That's Heinz.
Well, you know, there's 57 games left in the season for the Pittsburgh Pirates this year. And the Pirates are still kind of sniffing around with the potential to possibly make a run at the division crown this year, even though it looks like the Chicago Cubs have stacked the deck against them.
My Cubbies.
By mortgaging away their farm system to get a couple of pieces that they were really only 1 or 2 pieces away from being another championship contender.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then you hear all this moaning and groaning, and people say that the Pirates management owes them something to make some kind of a trade, and the Pirates chose not to make a trade. And to be honest with you, I really think it was the wisest choice they could have made. To be very, right now, if you look at the Pittsburgh Pirates, and if I were to tell me one player that you would say that if we traded for would make the Pirates a championship contender right now, are we one player away from being that team? And the answer to that question is no. And, and who are we going to give up to get that one player? We're going to take 4 steps back to try to take a step forward. I think basically the Pirates have the nucleus of a team that can compete and can compete for a division title. If not this year, and I do believe they're going to give it a run this year, but definitely next year. We've got the nucleus of a young pitching staff that is starting to prove itself. Some of these players are starting to perform better. Jameson Taillon has had his ups and downs. This is his first full major league season. Chad Kuhl is starting to come around. Trevor Williams is pitching pretty well. Ivan Nova has not been pitching well as of late, but has been pretty solid as a starter. And Garrett Cole seems to have found the stuff that makes him the ace of the staff. So I am going to, instead of spending my time and effort moaning and groaning about the money that the Pirates don't spend or won't spend, or the trades they could have made or they should have made. Fact of the matter was, if the Pirates had anybody that was worth trading to get some quality back, the trades would have been made. Other people were offering assets that were much more valuable than the assets that we were offering in trade. So, that being said, 57 games left. Starts tonight with the Reds. I'll be at 2 games this weekend, and I'll be at one of the games next week with the Tigers. We've got a home game against the Tigers. I love Major League Baseball. I love the Pittsburgh Pirates. I'm going to enjoy going to watch them play, and there's 57 games left. We'll see what happens.
Hey, Chip, on the bright side, they're only 5.5 games out of first place.
You know what? Bigger deficits have been made up.
Yeah, that's what's frustrating. I'm a frustrated fan right now.
In less amount of time. Well, the part of my frustration is not with trades they did or they didn't make. It's from the performance of people like Starling Marte and Gregory Polanco. You can't keep Gregory Polanco on the field. And you've got Starling Marte back on the field. He's only batting .245 with no extra base hits since he came back off his PED suspension. And then, of course, he lost the 1 game for us just by falling asleep and letting a fly ball land right next to him. So, I mean, but this is typical of what Starling Marte has done over the last few years. He has lapses of concentration surrounded by moments of brilliance, okay? The only problem is we need to increase the moments of brilliance and cut out the lapse of attention.
Hence my frustration to the Buckeyes.
But I mean, what can you do? These players have guaranteed contracts. You can't bench them. I don't know. I mean,
we'll find out later what Smoking Jim thinks about Pirate players and their hair.
The outfield of the future does not seem to be.
It's not there.
It's not there. The best player in the outfield is the player that they've been trying to ship away for a year, is Andrew McCutchen, having one of his best seasons as a professional.
I'm glad he hit those 3 home runs the other day because they couldn't trade him yesterday. That helped there. Hey, what's on my mind? Steeler training camp opened up. Saw some injuries and stuff. I don't worry about it. I was looking for some good news, something positive. I'm about positivity. One name just come out of nowhere. T.J. Watt. He impressed people his first day of practice, knocked people on their back, went past that new contract. Alejandro knocked him down and out of the way to get to the quarterback. Guy just signed, over $4 million for 6 years. He blew right by him. Here's a rookie. Went in there, knocked some of these.
I thought it was $6 million for 4 years.
No, I thought
it's $24 million.
Yeah, $24 million. Yeah, I got a little crazy.
Yeah, you let just a little bit.
Got a little crazy with that.
Went off the reservation a little bit.
Yeah. I didn't prepare for this. It just come to me what I was going to talk about.
That's what I'm here to help for.
Yeah, I appreciate it. So he blew past the $6 million man. Got in there. He was knocking people all over the place. They interviewed him. He said he's been off the field for 4 or 5 months. He has a lot of good energy, and he's trying to bring it to practice. So he's glad that he can hit in the pads. And then I looked at what day it was today because of the CBA. It's Tuesday. There's no hitting in football on Tuesday. So, folks, that's what's on my mind. It's only a little bit for you. Check out our next segment of Fiction and Fact from Smokin' Jim's Almanac.
Hi, Bethel Park. Remember me? My name is Jason Planitzer. I was the host of a little show here. You may have seen it. It was called The Jason Planitzer Show.
What would you say your experience at BPTV, how has that had an impact on your life?
I found my voice. I learned how to be funny. I learned how to create things. I learned how to collaborate with people here. I developed an interest in film and comedy and making videos. It stuck with me. It continued through my life. I got into working on motion pictures. I now I'll produce small videos. I'll work with producers on commercials, television projects, feature films. I scout locations on TV shows and movies, which involves me reading scripts, finding the locations that need to be shot, and collaborating with the director and production designer to find the perfect spot. It all started at BPTV for me.
Thanks, Al Levine, the Talking Machine, and Fiction and Fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac. And I tell you what, man. I got to, first of all, say my San Diego story. My brother and his wife went to San Diego, and they went to watch. He's a big Pirate fan. His wife. And on their wedding day, a lot of people thought she looked like Paula Abdul. Is that her?
No, I don't know.
Paula Abdul. Real pretty girl.
She retired.
Yeah, and but they did it the day before Andrew hit the 3 home runs. So whatever, it was a 1-0 game, 2-1 game, or whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
So the next day, my brother, who's been a San Diego Charger fan since he was 2 years old, went to San Diego's training camp. They're still trained. They still have their training camp in San Diego. And he got to hang out with LT, LaDainian Tomlinson, the Hall of Famer. And I hear the Steelers are starting a Hall of Fame, so a Wall of Fame or whatever they're going to do. But anyhow, my Fiction and Fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac, the John Hines History Center ranks the 1987 National Championship North Hills team in '86 number 3 ranked in the nation, Gateway Gators, as their top 2 teams in WPIAL history. Maybe perhaps the best team in the WPIAL history, in my opinion, was probably the 1987 Gateway Gators, who was ranked in preseason as the number 8th ranked team in the country.
Did you play on any of those?
There was a Frazier
after
there.
his day.
There was a Frazier there.
That's after
But
his
there
day.
was an ESPN. ESPN regularly was at Gateway because senior linebacker Curtis Bray was the number 1 ranked player in America that year. They had a 6'5", 290-pound two-way lineman by the name of Mike Lavorio, who was a first-team All-State and an All-American. Al Lardo, running back, was All-State running back and also an All-American baseball player. Went on to play a lot of years of baseball. How about Todd Washington, the quarterback and
How about
defensive
him?
back? The first white Washington I ever met in person. Most Washingtons I've known were black. I've never met a white Washington before
Did you ever
Todd.
hear of the father of our country?
But I never met him.
Pull a dollar bill out of that pocket.
Yeah, but I never
Every
met
day.
him.
Every day you pull out Washingtons.
In person, just think about it. You don't know any white Washingtons other than George. But I met one and he played like a brother. How about a white cornerback? Doug Shear was a pretty tough one. Tight end Steve Rocco. How about
Are you making up names now?
How about a scat back running back? My brother was on that team. Also, they had a fullback that everybody compared to Ironhead Hayward.
What's your brother's name?
By the name of Rod Bailey.
What was your brother's
Scooter.
name? Scooter Frazier.
He's a millionaire now. He's a CPA. Lives in Dallas, Texas. Named his first son Dallas. And how about one of the top attorneys in the state of Pennsylvania, Phil Delicente, was a star on that team. Big Phil was a tough guy. And my dad was the booster president, so a lot of money came up a little short. But that year, don't forget, Gateway was undefeated.
Hold it, the statute of limitations isn't over. I got to correct Smoking Jim Frazier. He didn't really mean that. This is just off the top of his head. His memory's a little sketchy right
We got
now.
a lot of toys over those couple of
Yeah,
years.
it
but-
must have been an alternative fact.
But don't forget,
Fake news.
It was the first year of Woodland Hills High School. Woodland Hills merged about 7 different high schools at that time, and there was a lot of chaos, but a lot of talent. Woodland Hills that year was going to temporarily play in a broken down stadium that held 25,000, Turtle Creek's old stadium. And it was a safety hazard because the concrete was all chipped up, and it was only going to be 1 year. They were renovating Churchill High School's football stadium to accommodate the big crowd, which had lights, and that was going to be the second year. Gateway at the time ranked 8th in the country, looking for the showdown between the eventual #1 team ranked in the country, North Hills High School. Everybody thought that would be the championship game at Three Rivers Stadium. And my dad, actually, as the booster president, got a plane to fly over the stadium on Saturday afternoon.
Go
and said
Scooter.
Gateway #1. Yeah, I should have said Go Scooter. Gateway #1. And Woodland Hills played. I mean, they were starting to come on, but the people in Gateway and Monroeville was a little arrogant at the time, didn't see that Woodland Hills was really improving as the season went on, and Woodland Hills upset Gateway that day, and they decided to continue to play the games at Turtle Creek. So for the next 30 years, they played it. They called it the Wolverine, and the Wolverine gave birth to more NFL players, I think about 15. One's going to the Hall of Fame.
And by
Taylor.
the way, they're renovating that stadium again. They're putting down a new playing surface.
Wow.
I drove by there, saw the crushed rock down there, putting down a new artificial surface.
And I'm sure the principal beat up a few people to get that done. But
They're well along their way. I drove by there the end of last week, and they'll be ready for games this
I
fall.
wouldn't drive by there at gunpoint, but I'm
It was
glad.
daytime.
I'm glad you did. But and lastly, but not least,
There's
is
more.
that I wanted tomorrow is my dad's birthday, his 80th birthday. Happy birthday,
Yeah.
Dap!
Happy birthday,
Happy
Mr.
birthday,
Frazier.
Mr.
We all got
Frazier.
government names.
I'm not
Dap.
even butting in on that. Thank you, Smoking Jim
Thank
Frazier.
you.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Chips Trivia this week. Of course, what else would I be talking about in the middle of summer other than baseball? So we'll start with July the 26th. Quite a number of memorable things happened on July 26th. One of them happened in 1962. Warren Spahn, Hall of Fame Milwaukee Braves pitcher, set the National League record for home runs by a pitcher when he hit his 31st off New York's Craig Anderson. Spahn dealt the Mets their 11th straight loss with a 6-1 victory. And the other interesting thing about Warren Spahn, if you go and look up his career statistics, you will see that he has the exact same number of hits in his major league career as he does wins pitching.
Get on.
I never knew that.
Over
That's-
300.
I think it's 354, but who's counting? I
Didn't
may
they say
be off.
spawn in Spain and pray
Spawn
for rain?
and Spawn and Sane, and then 2 days of rain.
Yeah,
and
that's
the,
their
and, the-
pitching
and the
staff.
Brewers. That was their pitching staff. But Warren Spahn was truly one of the greats of all time. July the 26th, 1991. Montreal's Mark Gardner became the first to pitch 9 no-hit innings against a Dodger home team since Johnny Vandermeer beat Brooklyn at Ebbets Field on June 15th, 1938. What was significant about that win? That was the second straight no-hit game that Johnny Vandermeer threw, a record which has not been matched yet. But the Dodgers won the game in the 10th on 2 singles off of Gardner and Darryl Strawberry's RBI single off of Jeff Fassero. So interesting little side note there, but again, it was from June 15th, 1938 till July 26, 1991 that an opposing pitcher shut out the Dodgers for 10 innings.
That's amazing.
July 26, 2005, Greg Maddux recorded his 3,000th career strikeout against San Francisco. And Haley, one of the interesting things about Greg Maddux is, and the statistic that I shared this on Facebook about a week or 10 days ago, but Greg Maddux faced over 20,000 batters in his major league career. Of those 20,000 plus batters that he faced, only 310 of them faced a 3-ball count against him. And of those 310, 170 were in intentional walks.
Wow. That's amazing.
Wow. That is a truly that is the definition of a control pitcher. And he never threw a fastball out of the 80s. And he was in the Hall of Fame. 2008, July 26, Trevor Hoffman recorded his record 544th save. I believe that's a record that may have been surpassed by Mariano Rivera. But at the time, that was the record that stood. July the 27th, somebody you probably might not even find his name in a byline of a game, but Brooklyn rookie Henry Heitman completed one of his shortest careers in Major League history. Heitman appeared on the mound against the St. Louis Cardinals. He gave up 4 consecutive hits, then left the game, never to play a Major League game again.
Wow. Wow.
I guess he found that was not his calling. Mm-hmm. And here's a little one for my dear friend Jim because of his love for Mr. Rose. Montreal's Pete Rose passed Ty Cobb for the most singles in a career with number 3,053 against the Philadelphia Phillies.
Can you read that again?
No. And July 27th, 1986.
The greatest singles hitter that will not be in the Hall of Fame.
And who could quite possibly have more legal repercussions in the near future. More to come on that. July 27th, 1986, 2 300-game winners faced each other as Don Sutton hurled 6 strong innings to outpitch Tom Seaver and give the California Angels a 3-0 victory over the Boston Red Sox. July the 27th. Now we go to July the 28th. One of the greatest third basemen to ever play the game, Brooks Robinson. Brooks Robinson won 16 consecutive Gold Gloves as a third baseman. On July 28th, 1971, which also happened to be the year that the Pirates beat the Orioles in 7 games for the World Series, Brooks Robinson committed 3 errors in 1 inning against the Oakland A's.
Wow.
You know, here's a Gold Glove outfielder. And last week I talked about the George Brett's Pine Tar home run. Well, on July the 28th, 1983, American League President Lee McPhail ruled that Brett's Pine Tar home run against New York should count. The umpires had disallowed the homer because of the Pine Tar. The rest of the game was played August 18th with Kansas City winning 5-4. Just a couple more here. 1993, July 28th, Ken Griffey Jr. tied a record by a former Pirate, Dale Long. Tied a Major League record by homering in his 8th consecutive game.
Yeah.
Something
That's a record?
That's a record.
It's rare.
Even the Juice King, Barry Bonds, couldn't do that. Cheating and all. See that? And guess where Ken Griffey is? In the Hall of Fame.
Junior.
All right, no, on July 31st, 1990, Nolan Ryan, 43 years old, won his 300th game, reaching the milestone in his 2nd try. John Smoltz on July 31st, 2003, broke his own record as the fastest pitcher to record 40 saves by pitching a scoreless 9th. He got his 40th save on August 8th en route to breaking the National League record of 55.
Wow.
And last but not least, we're going to go back to Jim's dear friend, Mr. Rose.
All right.
Yeah, and this is another one to be proud of. Pete Rose, and August the 1st, 1978, he went 0 for 4 against Atlanta pitchers Larry McWilliams and Gene Garber to end his 44-game hitting streak.
Oh, man.
Bert Blyleven on August the 1st, 1986, threw a two-hitter and struck out 15 to become the 10th pitcher with 3,000 strikeouts. And on 1994, August 1st, Baltimore's Cal Ripken became the second major league player to play 2,000 straight games when the Orioles beat Minnesota 1-0.
Who was the first?
Lou Gehrig.
Ooh.
Lou Gehrig. And last but not least, congratulations to the 31st member of a very exclusive club. Adrian Beltre of the Texas Rangers joined the 3,000 hit club on Sunday by lacing a double down the left field line. He is now one of the 31st player to have 3,000 hits. And you know who else did not get 3,000 hits?
I know.
Barry Bonds.
Barry didn't get it.
No.
But
He was swinging for the fences at the end.
I know that guy got ejected from a game recently too, didn't
Huh.
he? Beltre.
He may have.
When he moved to batter's box or whatever he did. But did you hear about Bartman
Yes, I did.
going to get a World Series
Series
ring,
rings.
which will wipe out 14 years of death threats?
That's what you call Chicago justice.
Thank you, Chip Hayner. Appreciate your trivia. On Location by Al Levine, the Talking Machine. Next Monday, we got a great show planned with great guests. August 7th, Hollywood Lane, 7:30 to 8:30. Be there. We got some returning guests. We got Cannon Mack, basketball head coach, football coach, and their principal will be there. Check it out. We got a bodybuilder, Talon, will be there. And we had an author, Deborah Clark, fan of our show, friend of our show. She'll be there. And Bill Kai, who's run for judge and is a local lawyer doing many good things in the community. He'll be there. So we got a power-packed show for you at Hollywood Lanes. Of course, Jeffrey Park and Lindsay Marie.
Got an NFL sports agent too.
Well, Smoking Jim wouldn't tell me his name, so we got a sports agent we're going to try to squeeze in there somehow. So I don't know how that's going to work out, but we got great guests. Come on out. Come enjoy the show. They got the liquor license at Hollywood Lanes, so it's all positive there. Come on out. Check out the Pittsburgh Sportsline TV show on Monday night. We'll be filming. It'll be rebroadcast as soon as Wednesday night. So we've got great guests. That's it.
I've shown an interest in making home movies. Me and some buddies would just grab a camera and you just start making these videos, and then you realize at some point that this isn't just a hobby anymore. It's something that you actually want to pursue, and there's this great facility right down the road, BPTV. A lot of people will try to do these productions on their own, and one of the things they don't have is the equipment, you know, but right here is everything that you need is in one nice little bundle. There's lights, cameras, reflectors, dollies, all kinds of little knickknacks, like anything that you'd want to use that you would need for a production, you have it right here. Like, it's all right here. You can make your own feature movie just with the stuff from this studio. Come meet Dave Cable, let him show you around, and I think you'll realize that this is something that you could fall into regardless of your level of expertise, whether you're a beginner or even if you're a more advanced learner. There's something here for everyone, and I feel that you just need to come through and just be a part of the experience and just watch and learn, and, you know, let Dave be your guide.
One of the things we do at BPTV is encourage our producers to film on location. Not only does shooting on location give our producers the opportunity to take advantage of their subject matter, filming in different locations gives each program its own distinct flavor. This also helps anyone who's flipping through the channels avoid confusion when they turn on BPTV. With around 500 programs produced at BPTV each year, the last thing we want people to think is that we're only broadcasting one program. So, you need to come into BPTV to pitch your TV show, but in terms of where you actually end up taping your show, the sky's the limit.
Thanks for not switching that dial. And Chief, I hope you had your dessert. Thanks for watching our show. To many of our fans, including Chief, who's a loyal TV viewer of Pittsburgh Sportsline. Well, we got Steelers to talk about. I gave a little tidbit with TJ Watt having a great first day at practice. And then there's no practice on Tuesdays due to the CBA. James Conner, I heard, has a shoulder injury. I don't know. Who's the guy who hasn't played yet, got hurt again, Chip?
Tenquez Golston.
Goldstein is hurt again. They carried him off the field.
Yeah, at what point do you say, why is this guy taking up a roster spot?
Former second-round draft pick.
That's probably why.
By the time he's actually healthy enough to play, he'll be a great signing for somebody else because he's not going to get what was Chuck Noll's famous saying? You can't make the club in the tub.
That's
Bob.
right. That's right.
Yeah, I think it carried some water there, but there's some good positive things out there. So it's exciting time of year. I've never been to a training camp. Smoking Jim, I don't think he's been to one either, but he reports on it. Any Steeler reports, Smoking Jim?
So here's a question I have to ask. You're an NFL scout, and you played the game of football, and you've been in this environment. How important is it, and especially with a team like with as high-powered of an offense as the Steelers are supposed to have this year, somebody's absence from getting the repetitions, learning the new playbook for this year, bonding with his new teammates and everything. How important is that, and what kind of impact is Le'Veon Bell's absence from training camp going to have on the rest of the team?
I don't believe I understand the first question. What was the first question? I don't think.
Well, how is that? How important is what you develop in training camp? To building the team that you're going to go into battle with for 16 games?
I think it's very important. Great question, Chip. I think it's as far as team chemistry. I think that's why they go away to training camp. If it wasn't important, everybody would just stay at home and commute. But I think it's important to get to know one another. Back, Vince Lombardi, I think, was the first one that used to make white ball players room with black ball players, so that you get used to one another. And things are a lot different now. In the era that many of us came up through, practices was 3 times a day, and
Yes.
you hit and you beat on each other. Now it's everybody runs around in shorts and and it's just amazing to me, just a little bit of contact, how much people get hurt. But I think that for the number of injuries that the Pittsburgh Steelers have, I really believe it's the curse of Russell Shell. Pittsburgh Steelers did him dirty. They did him rotten. Maybe the greatest player to ever come out of Western Pennsylvania. 9,000 career rushing yards in high school when they wouldn't even give him an opportunity to come to training camp, which I think is a real shame. And I'm not surprised that the Steelers are getting running backs hurt, running backs unsigned, running backs wrestling on WWE and unsigned.
So, I'm sure that we don't know the entire story about what went on with Russell Shell and why he was not asked to come to camp. But, do you think that maybe, some of the problems that he's had, and I'm sure he had the problems in college, as it didn't work out for him playing at Pitt. And he really didn't excel that well playing at West Virginia. I mean, do you think that off-the-field issues could be more of why he's not here than his performance on the field?
Well, the Italians always say that fish stinks from the head. And when you had Dan Rooney, a class guy, and the chief, they recognized the importance of their fan base in Western Pennsylvania. Even though the Pittsburgh Steelers are probably America's most popular team in the world, Dan Rooney and the chief would not bring in a Western Pennsylvania kid and not give him a fair opportunity. If he had that much baggage, they would not give him a chance at all. But I think that Art Rooney II, who does not care for me, and Art Rooney II is not a football man. This is a guy that wanted to be the next Perry Mason but couldn't win a case. So he backtracked and became, the owner of the Pittsburgh Steelers. He really don't like football. His decision that he's making is destroying the organization, crippling the organization. Firing Bruce Arians was one mistake. Letting Dick LeBeau go is another mistake. And not signing Russell Shell and cutting him in diapers was a huge mistake, and they're starting to pay the price for it now.
Has Russell been signed by anybody else?
Well, one thing about a free agent, rookie free agent, he had 5 offers right after the draft. And that's when you sign your rookie free agents to fill your roster. By the Pittsburgh Steelers signing him and backstabbing him and getting rid of him, and actually they gave him his AARP papers, his retirement papers, because nobody's going to sign him after that, but he could have signed with another team. He reminds me of Terrell Davis, and Terrell Davis is on his way to Canton right now.
Well,
Except for he got more kids than Terrell.
Well, I think Russell Shell's work ethic.
He's a baby machine.
I think his work ethic or lack of work ethic is snuck through the cracks that Smoking Jim can't see because he only sees black.
Name me 5 brothers that got a good work ethic. Come on, man.
Walter Payton.
5 Curtin brothers. Antonio Brown's the only one that he's making.
Antonio Brown, James Harrison.
That's 2.
Larry Fitzgerald.
Who? That's 3. That's 3.
Yeah.
You had to dig for that 3rd one, though.
But I came up with it. Came up strong. Larry puts in the work, right?
I don't know what kind of glasses you have on. They're not rose-colored glasses.
RG me.
Yeah, you did touch on something, Jim, that I think is really kind of telling. One of the things that I always knew about training camps going up is that you have to condition the human body to be able to hit and to be hit. Mm-hmm. And I think that what they've done is there's so little hitting going on that you see so many more injuries that guys would have in the past would have just played with. But now you've got everybody's banged up, and after the first day of hitting, you've got everybody walking around with ice packs, and now it's like, but the young guys, they've got to learn how to, and if you look at just around the NFL, with the lack of hitting in training camps, the lack of hitting in practices, look at the quality of the tackling that you see.
You don't see it.
Yeah, but this goes to the deeper question. There just were 111 players turned in their X-rays.
Or their brains,
yeah,
right?
But 110 had CTE.
Well, right, but the reason why all 111 turned them in was because they had signs of it.
But I understand that. But this is the tip of the iceberg. They're changing the way the sport is played. It's a violent sport.
And
they don't like all the hitting. I just heard a statistic that player injuries in the NFL are 4 times all the other pro sports combined.
Yeah, and
4 times as many.
and
So you can get hurt not practicing, putting your shoes on, and then getting
Right.
hit or walking
But-
through.
but my
So
point
there are
is-
injuries in football.
But you know what? We know this when we go into playing the game. When you decide that football is the professional sport that I'm going to pursue, you know that there are going to be injuries. Yes, you know you're going to be doing damage to your brain. So I think that knowing all that we know now about CTE and brain injuries and body injuries and everything like that, how do these players get to the point where they can turn around and sue the NFL because they're walking in with their eyes wide open?
Well, that's why players are leaving now after their first contract or during their first
White
contract.
players. White players.
No, black players. A black guy started a farm.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. The brother got
he
a
started
farm. Okay. But
black or white, it doesn't matter.
But my favorite football player of all time wrote a book called They Call Me Assassin. I actually read that book,
Jack
Jack Tatum.
Tatum.
And he said in that
The
book,
opening.
and I quote,
The opening.
he said that they used to have a bet with the Raiders and for knockouts or taking guys out on the stretcher. If you limped off the field, that didn't count. You had to be carried off or taken off in a stretcher. And that's what I used to watch football for, roller derby, hockey, for the fights.
Hold it. Let me give you an announcement. Those days are over.
Yeah.
They don't
Yeah.
even sell the videos
Jim,
that showed the greatest
yeah,
knockouts.
I didn't know that.
I used to
I
love
didn't know that.
watching
I'm
the
serious.
defensive linemen when they had the head slap.
I love that.
Okay, the
Deacon
clothesline.
Jones and them,
Yeah, when they used to clothesline
Dick Night
people.
Train Lane. Yeah.
Oh man, and yes,
It's
Jack
changed.
Tatum, and I do remember a certain Daryl Stingley who not only got carried off the field and never walked again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he ducked his
But
head.
football has changed. My point, it's changing into something that we're not going to like 100%. It's changing how the players look at it. Look at the players that don't play preseason and come out like a shotgun and can run. It doesn't matter about that chemistry. These guys are in shape to play the game
Can I
like
drop
it
a
is
few
now.
names to just give
Oh,
an
please
analogy?
do.
Well, the history is already the history. Whether they're black or white, it doesn't matter.
Well, just in this area, just for example, probably the 2 greatest wide receivers that I ever seen on film was Dwight Collins and Julius Dawkins.
Okay.
They were big, tall, fast, athletic, and could run. Probably Perry Kemp was another great one.
You said you're going to name 2. Now you name 3.
But the 4th one, now that teams are going, high school teams are going to 7-on-7, which is like AAU ball. Now that teams are not hitting in practice or practicing 1 time a day. Probably the greatest receiver I ever seen was a kid named Herb Pinckney, a black kid with green eyes. Most elusive guy, probably in a Flag Football Hall of Fame. Was unbelievable. You could not cover him. He could catch anything. He could run down any ball. He had 4.240 speed, great hands, could jump, could run, could shake you like Barry Sanders. But when you put the equipment on, he had alligator arms. Sorry, Herb Pinckney, if you're watching. But that's the difference, is because you can have guys that are outstanding in shorts, but you find out game time, they ain't going over the middle. And how are you going to find that out if you don't hit? I know a guy that will go over the middle, Russell Shell, but he ain't given the opportunity.
I think his work ethic or lack of.
9,000 high school yards,
That was then.
3,000 college
He
yards.
was like a man among boys.
3,000
He was like a
college
man
yards.
among boys.
Yeah, after
now
he
he's
got,
with
after
men.
he got kicked out of one school and we got picked up by another.
Yeah, but
No, he quit Pitt,
Oh,
and he
yeah.
was starting in front of James
he had a
Conner.
choice. He had a choice.
He had James Conner
He
on
had
the
a
Pitt.
choice.
He had a choice.
He wanted to get away from some of
Go.
his baby mamas.
He had a choice. You got to come to school or leave.
Pick,
And he
Pitt
didn't
got-
lift a weight.
Pitt got quite a few that's academically ineligible or ineligible,
and then,
period,
now
right
that's
now.
that's a good point you brought up. What do you think about Narduzzi suspending all these players?
Go Penn
Jordan
State.
White, Jordan
what I
Whitehead. Oh,
Wow.
so there's,
Yeah.
so
All
there's
the
not
talent
supposed
in
to
the
be
world.
there's not supposed to be any discipline when players break the rules.
Not in smoking Jim's
No, I'm not
book.
I'm not talking about that. But you know,
Not in his
you
book.
breed that. You don't see that at Penn State. You don't see that kind of stuff
Yeah,
at
'cause
Penn
they're up
State.
in the mountains.
Because you got Terry, you
They're
got
in
Terry
farmland.
Smith, you got assistant coaches, assistant head coach
Black
Terry
head
Smith,
coach.
and assistant coach Justin King that won't allow stuff like that. Yeah.
What
yeah,
color
so
are they?
They're
Yeah, but you know
gateway
what,
black and gold.
But you know, we do know the baggage that Penn State does carry around with it. So before you toot that horn too loud,
Joe
let's not
Paterno
forget.
was the greatest. He didn't know nothing about it, and that movie will prove it. Al Pacino's paying Joe Paterno, so that movie will prove it.
It
Can't
won't
wait
prove
till it come
anything.
out.
Oh, how do we get to this? What happened to Steelers?
But our guy Paris Ford hasn't been cleared academically yet.
Well,
for
he's
that.
having some difficulty.
So what do you think about Ben saying that he will not commit to playing anything longer than this year?
I thought he just wanted to get in the news again.
Do you think he's being a drama queen?
All of a sudden, his wife, who I've never heard utter a word
3
saying
kids.
that he wants him to quit playing ball. You know, come on, Ben.
Yeah,
Well, not this year because he'd have to pay back about it.
he'd have to pay
Yes.
back $18 million, and
Yeah.
he's making 23.
Ben is such a great
Yeah, be a little
family
short.
man. Let me let you
He's
guys
what?
in on a secret. This is how great a family man is.
Milledgeville, Georgia.
Well, even after that, that was before he got married, because there was quite a history even before Milledgeville. But Ben is such a great family man right now that 2 weeks after the season, he moved to San Diego to work out. He hadn't been back hardly since. Ben, remember when everybody was
What
saying
about them
Ben was
3
going to
kids?
retire? I told everybody Ben's up in San Diego working out.
What about his 3 kids?
He probably sees them on postcards.
What about them? This is shocking.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah,
They made him get married.
yeah. And you know it.
I call
know
it.
it.
The
You did.
Steelers made him get
You
married
did.
and clean up his act.
You did it.
Now he won't even see him. This is heartbreaking.
And that's why, in my opinion, that I believe that if you have a great running back on your team, you should pay him quarterback money. The reason is because his career is so short. I would pay Le'Veon Bell $20 million a year.
Can't.
I'm just saying, this is what I would do. I would pay him $20 million a year because a guy like Ben Roethlisberger will get $300 million contract, so he'll get $300 million over the course of his career. Le'Veon Bell, this is his last contract. This is his only. The rookie contract paid him nothing. This is his only contract. At the end of this contract,
and
he'll
who
be
he
done.
can thank for this predicament that he's in, and that he's going to have to suffer through making $12.2 million this year,
Which ain't bad money.
is his union. The union that represents him, that really doesn't represent the interest of the players, because you know what? Le'Veon Bell can only play for $12.2 million this year. Can't get paid a dime more, can't get paid a dime less either. And once he signs that offer, if he gets hurt on the very first practice and doesn't play a down all year, he's guaranteed that $12.2 million. So, you know, I mean, it would be nice to give him more and reward him, but the union handcuffed him and the team.
When?
That's in the
Steelers
collective
had-
bargaining
negotiated.
Steelers
agreement.
had 6 months to negotiate a
They
long-term
negotiated
deal.
that that's how it
Yeah,
works.
but
the
ended
top
up-
running back only gets $8 million.
Yeah, but
That's, he
$8 million.
ain't
Why-
Le'Veon Bell.
$8
why
million.
why would you
$8 million.
why would you want to give somebody a long-term contract who is one missed or failed test away from a year-long suspension,
Good point.
and who is yet to make it through an entire NFL season for you? He has been suspended for 2 of the last 3 years for the first 4 games of the season. So here is somebody that, in my mind's eye, he needs to prove that he's worth extending a long-term contract
Well,
or
let me-
more guaranteed money,
Well, let me ask you
because he
this.
hasn't proven himself
Other
yet.
than Tom Brady, you name me 5 quarterbacks that played a whole season, including Ben. Everybody gets hurt, but they only talk about the running back that gets hurt.
Well,
that caught
but-
75
but-
passes.
but what about
and
the
was
failed
unstoppable.
tests?
73.
And the
I agree with
suspensions
that.
for,
Man. I mean,
the
that makes it. You
suspension-
make a good point
And even
there.
though it's just marijuana, and you know everybody has their personal opinions about that, but at this moment and until this changes, it is a banned substance in the NFL. So if you test positive for
that's
it,
a good point.
whether you agree with it with medicinal use of it or what, until those rules change, which will not happen until the next collective bargaining agreement, which is what, in 2020.
Yeah.
You know, so most of the guys that are in the league right now won't even be in the league by the time that happens. And so the people that are would possibly benefit that are in junior high school and high school right now.
Well, that's a good point, Chip. But who I'm worried about more, because eventually Le'Veon Bell's going to come in. He's not going to pass up that $12 million.
Oh, no.
But who I'm worried about more is Martavis Bryant.
Now, why is the NFL messing with him? You know what?
They forgot to go by the rules and pick a
I think-
rehab place.
I think he did. He brought that on
had
himself.
a year to pick a rehab place.
And I'm not sure
And
when
guess
he's going
what?
to be
He
able to play.
forgot. How
You
do
know,
you do that? That's
You know,
one of the stipulations.
That's one of the. That's the first stipulation. You know, that's one of the.
You know, then I
asterisks by
I
that.
was not aware of that. And
Yeah.
if that is the case, you know, they
needed a rehab facility.
They set down the rules, the steps that you've got to take to.
Steelers should have held his hand on that.
They weren't
You know,
allowed.
unfortunately,
They weren't
Jim,
allowed.
you know what? He's a grown man, and he shouldn't have to have his hand held. You know, I had an employee who worked for me, and I used to have to call him every morning at 6:30 to make sure that he would be there at 7 o'clock.
That's
And
good.
I finally got to the point I was like, "Why am I doing this? I mean, you're a grown man."
'Cause he's a
If you know,
superstar.
and
He's a
now,
superstar
well,
for
he,
you.
you know what? And here's the thing: he doesn't work with us any longer, and we're better off for it.
Wow. You think the Steelers are better off without Martavis Bryant?
It would be great if he could, you know, but I mean, it's entirely in his hands
If I
right
was-
now.
if I
You
was-
can't blame that on anybody other than
I'm
himself.
blaming it
Rehab.
on the Steelers because I'd have held his hand just like Dallas held the hand of Dez Bryant. They bought him a full-time security guy so he wouldn't get in trouble. Sometimes you got to invest.
Thank you, Smoking
I
Jim
beg to
Frazier.
disagree with you, but you know, it's not the first
And
time.
that's our
that we've
Steelers
disagreed.
segment. Who would think that it'd cover what it did? We got a couple minutes left. Let's talk a little Bucko talk. 57 games to go. I got that in your opening statement, Chip.
Yes.
I am
57.
hopeful, but they tease us. They won 14 out of 16, and I thought they could get over the hump there with 5.5 games back, and they did not.
No, and you know,
And it's back there again. They could run another 14 out of 16 and be within a game of first place. So I'm hopeful.
Well, you know, and the Pirates, the problems that the Pirates have are many. Performance on the field first and foremost, but the lack of an everyday third baseman, and David Freese is not an everyday third baseman. He was not signed to be an everyday third baseman. You know, the legacy of Jung Ho Gong, and I do believe that he's played his last game in a Pittsburgh Pirates uniform. You know, the Pirates are going to have to, move on. They're going to have to either look for somebody in free agency over the course of the winter to take his spot, or develop one of their younger players. I would like to see Jose Ozuna start working out at third base. I believe that he could potentially be the answer, but he hasn't had enough of a chance. But as the season progresses and it gets to the point where it's more likely that we're not going to have a chance for the division, they had to just trot him out there every day and let him play, send him to winter ball, learn how to play third base, and go into spring training with him, because he's got a nice bat.
Yeah.
He can produce the offensive numbers, and I think if he got comfortable in a fielding position instead of going here, there, and everywhere. But that all being said, I'm going to let Alan wrap things up. We're getting down to the last few seconds of our
Thank you, Chip.
weekly excursion.
We'll try to wind this show down. Thanks for watching us. We appreciate all our fans. Thanks to Devin, Steve, and Noah in the control room. We appreciate that. You've helped to make us look good and have a well-run show. Thanks for the graphics from BPTV and Dave Cable. And thanks to my co-host, Smoking Jim Frazier, Chip the Prophet Hayner, and myself, who all agree to disagree when Smoking Jim gets on a tangent here. And somehow he's always talking black and white. I can't figure it out. I don't figure this out because I don't see any colors. I just see the plays on the field. Go Steelers, and stay Joey strong.